Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on, I guess, like all the Arrowverse shows. So Flash Season 4, Arrow Season 6, all of that. Now, you would have just noticed that I have a new intro, and I think it's pretty damn sick. So I have to give a massive shout out to JoeXN on Twitter. He's a designer. He did it for me. He came to me, goes, yo, I got this new intro. Would you like it? And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely take that. Because if you didn't know, a lot of the time I did make my own one. I had that one previously made for me, but then I added my own music into it, I think it was. But I really like the intro I've just gotten. It's nice, quick, it's short, it gets to the point. So massive thanks to Joe. So definitely go hit him up on Twitter, give him a follow, especially if you're interested in all that design stuff. So yeah, I'll link his Twitter in the description below. So obviously last season we had the big 4-show crossover. I was going to say 4-night crossover, but it's hard to really include Supergirl's night really in the crossover because we saw that exact same scene play out in the Flash episode of that crossover. So yeah, the 4-show crossover, which was of course the big invasion storyline, which I think was really good. Like I think in regards to television last year, in regards to feats of televisions, like achievements on television, I think that would have to be in the top 5 at least, if not higher, just because of bringing 4 shows together and constructing one story that overlaps into the different shows while having like interlapping or crossing over stories from those individual shows into that storyline, if that makes sense. So like with Wally West in the Flash story, and then with obviously Legends, we had Martin Stein's story crossing over into the 4-night crossover, or the 4-show crossover. So I think it was a massive feat, but it's all left us wondering after that ended, okay, well, they're obviously going to do it every season from now on, you'd hope. So how the hell are they going to top it next season? And really, we got our first sort of little, like, tempting little bites of it, as the TCAs were held yesterday for the Arrowverse shows, and I completely forgot these were on. I knew they were on like 2 weeks ago. I heard about it, but I had no idea they were on this week, so that went completely over my head. But they were held yesterday from when this video will go live at least. And yeah, as I said, they went into some details, sort of like teasing the crossover for the upcoming seasons. Now, obviously, they talked about their individual shows as well. There wasn't too much revealed. I'll mention one thing that I think is pretty cool at the end of the video that was brought up regarding, I guess, both Flash and Legends. But as I said, I'll talk about it at the end of the video. But they actually revealed the dates for the crossover. Now, this isn't surprising. I think they're basically roughly the same dates as they were last season. You know, they're episode 8 by the sound of it. So they're keeping that episode 8 crossover thing for all the shows. So they're the week before the mid-season finales for all the shows, if you're just trying to get all your logistics right. So essentially, the crossover is a bit different this year, which I think is actually a smart move, and I'll explain why. But it starts on Monday, the 27th of November, with Supergirl, which makes sense. But also Arrow. They're on the same night, one after each other. So it's going to be like a 2-hour event on Monday. And then it wraps up on the Tuesday, the 28th of November, with Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, which, if you did not know, mid-season last year, Legends of Tomorrow moved to the same night as Flash. And moving into the new seasons, they're keeping that. They're keeping Flash and Legends of Tomorrow on the same night, because they must have figured out that when Legends moved to the same night as Flash, it was just a better time slot for Legends of Tomorrow. Now, as I sort of hinted at before, I do think it is a very, very smart move to make it a 2-night event, because even though I think the 4-night event last season was pretty cool, it is still 4 nights, so people have to keep up to date. But if you keep it 2 nights and just compress it into those 2 nights with 2 hours of quality television on each of those nights, I think it's just much smarter. And also, you got to remember, last season when they did the crossover, Legends of Tomorrow was still on the Thursday. It hadn't moved to the same night as The Flash on the Tuesday. It was still on the Thursday, so it made sense to do those 4 nights. But seeing that Legends moved to Flash and it's keeping that time slot, it makes sense to just move Arrow to the same night as Supergirl and have it on 2 nights. And also, Arrow is actually moved from Wednesday night to Thursday night, so if they did the crossover, you know, on the time slots that the shows normally have, there would be a day break between the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow episodes to the Arrow episode. So it could break that sort of like, just break that streak and just make it a very annoying crossover to keep up with. So I think moving Arrow to the same night as Supergirl is a much smarter move. And I think it's going to help with ratings. One thing that a lot of people were wondering about was a little character known as Black Lightning, who obviously we know is getting his own CW show, which starts mid-season. And a lot of people were wondering, okay, is he going to be involved in the crossover? And the issue with this is that his show wouldn't have started by the time this crossover is on, but they didn't confirm that he won't be in the crossover. There just really was no mention of it from what I know. So the thing that they could do is have a cameo from him, which I think would be pretty cool, not necessarily on Supergirl's Earth, but I'll talk about in a second, like what I think the storyline could possibly be, but they could cameo Black Lightning in the show for like 30 seconds and just get people, familiar with the character, and then they could just put advertisements on the CW and stuff like that later on and go, oh, that dude you saw for 30 seconds in the crossover? Well, he's sort of getting his own show, so maybe you should watch it. So I think it actually would be smart by the CW and the producers on all these shows just to put a little cameo of Black Lightning in the crossover, just to sort of hype up his show a bit more, which would be premiering like not that long after the crossover comes out. Now, as I said, they did give some like little details teasing the crossover, and they went over some themes of the crossover. Like most of them were kept under wraps because it would sort of be spoiling it if they gave like a major theme of the crossover away. But they did give the theme of romance, like they threw that in there, and that's going to be one of the themes of the crossover. I think it's going to be a minor theme because I think there is like some restlessness when romance is chucked into these shows, because they can really throw a show off board. Don't think I have to mention which shows, but yeah, they can throw a show off board of its storyline when romance is too much of a theme. But I think what the theme with romance is, you're going to have like different storylines. It wouldn't surprise me if like Sanders from Supergirl is involved in that in some way. West Allen, obviously, most likely Olicity, because it sounds like that's coming back to Arrow, but they'll be minor. But obviously there was that rumored wedding that's going to be part of the crossover. So the Arrowverse wedding that will just like bring all these shows together, and it'll probably be on like the last night, like the Legends of Tomorrow episode. That's when they'll most likely have the wedding, you would think, even though it'd be odd having this wedding on another show. But I think the wedding will be West Allen because we know they're engaged. Obviously, we'll have to see how Barry is when he comes out of the Speed Force at the beginning of season 4. But these shows definitely rush stuff, so I think by that time in the season, like Barry would be relatively back to normal and be on good terms with Iris, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's the wedding that we do see in the crossover. I can't see anything else. The only other possible one is Sanders, because they're sort of engaged, aren't they, on the show? So it's going to be them or West Allen, so Iris and Barry, and Iris and Barry definitely the major characters in the universe. So I think if we're going to see a wedding in the crossover, it's definitely going to be them two, but let me know what you think. One thing that wasn't teased at all at the TCAs from what I know, but was sort of hinted at Comic-Con, was the storyline for the crossover, because last year we had Invasion. As I said, I think it was a good storyline. It's from DC Comics, and they said that this season's crossover story would be rooted in DC lore or the DC universe. So it's going to be very interesting to see what it is. Now, seeing that the show does start on Supergirl, and it does sound like they're doing a proper Supergirl episode of the crossover, it's not going to be like some end credit scene that we saw last season. It sounds like it's officially starting on Supergirl. You would have to think that the threat originates from Earth 38 or Supergirl's Earth. You would have to think that's where it originates, or that's where, not necessarily the villain is from, but where the villain first strikes, and Supergirl has to warn her super friends, like, yo, there's this person or group that's sort of attacking my Earth at the moment, and maybe the whole multiverse is in danger. Like, it would be cool if it was a threat from another Earth and not from another planet. We had the Invasion crossover last year with the Dominators. We don't need any more aliens. I think having a threat from either Supergirl's Earth or just another Earth in the multiverse would be a smart move. Like, obviously they could do the crime syndicate with like evil doppelgangers of current heroes on the show, or even former heroes would be pretty cool. Could be difficult, especially if they do the doppelgangers thing, but it would be pretty cool to see, and I think a lot of people would want to see that. But I definitely do think it's going to be a tough thing for them to do, because I know last season just organizing that crossover with filming and stuff like that was a massive task. Like, they were filming for over a month, maybe 6 weeks for all of that footage. So it's going to be interesting to see how it is this time around, especially when you add in that Supergirl will most likely have a full episode of the crossover, instead of us last season really just having 3 shows instead of the 4. So it's going to be interesting to see what it is. I can't wait to see what the storyline is. They revealed it pretty, not necessarily really early last season, but they revealed it when like filming was coming up for it, because, set pictures and stuff would have given it away roughly. Given it away, you would think, from certain set pictures and stuff like that. Like, I think when they had like the Dominator egg thing, I think there were set pictures of that. So we'll probably get it revealed hopefully maybe around the time that the shows start airing on TV, so episode 1 or episode 2, or maybe just before that, but we'll have to wait and see about all of that, but I'm looking forward to it. Now, as I said, there was some other stuff revealed at TCAs. The only one I really want to talk about, which I think is pretty cool, is that Gorilla Grodd will be on Legends of Tomorrow this season, which is insane, which makes you think, is it because of what Legends of Tomorrow did last season with the whole messing up with the timeline, or is it going to be something else once they've like basically fixed what they did? It's going to be interesting to see where Grodd pops up. Maybe in this timeline, like Grodd is actually controlling certain civilizations or cities that are usually controlled by humans. That's going to be pretty cool, but we'll have to wait and see what it is. But Grodd will be on Legends, so yeah. So if you do watch Legends and you're a fan of The Flash as well, then I guess we all have something to look forward to there. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like. As I said, please go check out Joe on Twitter. I will leave his link in the description below. Really thankful for that intro that he did to me. Obviously, leave all of your opinions in the comment section down below about the crossover. Are you looking forward to it? What do you think the story is going to be for the crossover? And what do you think about them doing this wedding thing? I think it's going to be minor. Like, as I said, I think they reveal that theme of romance because it's not going to be a major one. It's just going to be a minor theme. So I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're really against it. But yeah, just leave all of your opinions in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.